now Pennsylvania Congressman, Foreign Affairs Committee member Scott Perry. Congressman, it is good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to see you. Good morning.
Is USMCA now on the back burner?
I think it just makes it more difficult, Maria. We now know that multiple committees of jurisdiction regarding impeachment are going to start holding hearings. In the past, traditionally, there was a vote on the House floor. The Speaker is trying to protect some of her vulnerable members in Trump districts from having the vote. So what they're going to do is now just conduct it via hearings and questions in multiple committees. I'm on one, Foreign Affairs, and yesterday we had a hearing in transportation again on the Trump hotel. So people don't understand or recognize maybe that is where all the effort is put in Washington, D.C. It's not put on transportation. It's not put on trade. It's not put on health care. You name it. The policies that we're looking for some movement on are all put on the back burner to deal with this impeachment issue. It's really capricious, in my opinion, and it's in poor judgment, especially based on the conversation from the transcript. It just I almost can't imagine that Speaker Pelosi and the Democrats have decided that they're going to try to impeach the president over that conversation. But indeed, that's what it looks like.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Congressman Steve Forbes here. Is there any way the
Steve.
Republicans can force a vote on this whole inquiry thing? Usually you have one select committee or the Judiciary Committee conduct such an investigation. Now you've got 6 or 10 committees doing it. How can you force a vote so people go on record? Are you for this crazy thing or not?
Well, yeah, exactly. And Minority Leader McCarthy, yesterday afternoon tried to force the vote on the floor at the end of the day.
Can you attach riders to bills that Democrats might like? Or,
Well, we can always attempt to do those things, and we will attempt to do those things to make sure that they're on record. But the majority has enough process and procedure that protects them from that. They're just going to table the motion or something like that to protect themselves from having the vote, which is what they did yesterday afternoon. They just tabled the motion, so they never had to vote on the motion. Meanwhile, we're told they're at 217 and potentially 218. So we ought to know where they stand. Listen, everybody in the country should know where the representative stands on impeaching the president for a conversation regarding international abuse of power. Every candidate that's running for office should be forced to say where they stand on that as well.
Is the president's tweets going to help out? Is he going to help you back you guys up in terms of saying let's have a vote, up and down vote, and make it a national issue?
I certainly think he's going to do that, because we have to figure this out and either get on with it or get past it. There are too many things in the country that are pressing that need our attention, and this is just going to, as you know, take all the attention. I mean, you've got all our adversaries out there watching this right now, and quite honestly, it doesn't put us in a better position regarding Iran, regarding China and trade, regarding the USMCA. All those things are in the balance.
What about the budget? Do they care about the budget? You've got Congress racing to avert another shutdown again. The clock is ticking. Where are you on that?
Well, I haven't heard a thing about it. That's the problem. When you're in Washington, D.C. and they start talking impeachment in earnest, that is the only thing that is discussed. I haven't heard a thing about it in the couple of days that I've been here this week, and I'm not sure where it stands. That's a horrible position to be in, but this is what happens when impeachment is pursued in earnest, and especially for these capricious reasons. Really poor judgment, in my opinion.
Congressman, it's Daniel McDowell. What are your constituents saying to you?
Well, listen, I am in a 50-50 district,
right.
But I think that most constituents, where they look at the unemployment figures, when they look at wages rising and so on and so forth, they might not like the president, but they like what's happening to their lives personally, and they don't want that to change, and they certainly don't want the upheaval. They're looking for solutions out of government, whether it's federal government or their township government, and this impeachment crusade. Look, it didn't work to impeach the president the first time, so let's impeach Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. That didn't work, so let's go back to impeaching the president. They're looking for solutions, not this carrying on in Washington, D.C. I don't think they're going to be happy about it.
Yep. And then there's Iran. I mean, Washington is ramping up pressure on Iran. The sanctions, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announcing that the U.S. will impose a new fresh round of sanctions on some Chinese entities for knowingly transporting oil from Iran. China responded, accusing the U.S. of bullying. Do you feel that we have an allied front against Iran in Europe, for example?
Right. I think that one is growing, but it's going to take work. And here's the thing, Maria, it's going to take work from not only the president, but from members of Congress. And it makes it difficult when members of Congress are trying to throw the leader of the United States out. And it shows us, it prevents a divided front, not only to our allies in Europe and around the world, but especially to our adversaries who are going to try and take advantage of this. Right. This is a horrible position that Speaker Pelosi and the radical left have put not only this president, but quite honestly, our country, and from a national security perspective.
I could not agree more. And they keep doing this. The president goes overseas to meet with the head of North Korea. They start a major impeachment conversation in the U.S., discrediting him. CNN for 2.5 years was running this story of collusion with Russia. No wonder the Chinese reneged back in April, thinking, oh, you know what, we're going to be done with this guy in 2 years. It is not a little thing that the media is driving the bus on all of that and so complicit. And that, you know, you've got networks that are seen around the world that are reporting this stuff that is inaccurate and not true. And, you know, it's obviously dictating behavior.
It is, and I think that some of our adversaries do watch those things, and if they don't know American culture very well, they take that stuff to heart. They think it's actually true, and I think it's really in poor form, regardless of the circumstances, when the president is at the UN defending our Constitution and our very freedoms, and these institutions that Speaker Pelosi and the rest of the radical left chose that moment when he's leading with world leaders, and some of our adversaries are sitting right in front of him to say that we're going to move forward with impeachment. It is very divisive, and it puts not only our president but our country on a very poor footing vis-a-vis these other world leaders, and some of them are tyrants.
It's undermining him, Veronica.
Yes. Congressman, this is Veronica Dagger. How long can this conceivably go on for? Because, as Maria said, there's so many trade deals that need to be done. How long can the impeachment inquiry stretch out for?
Well, I think they can stretch it out as long as they want to, and I imagine it comes down to votes and public perception. They are trying to drive the narrative. As you know, impeachment, as much as anything, is a political remedy. So they're trying to drive the American people to their side, and that's going to take some time. And so, literally, this can go on for a week, and they can abandon it, or it can go on for months into the election cycle. It's really up to the majority party in Congress. That's Speaker Pelosi. So we're all standing by, spring-loaded, ready to go, but we can't say.
Yep. All right. We will leave that. And by the way, this is the point that we were talking about during the commercial break. In the actual transcript, you see when the president said, "Do me a favor, check on the corruption." He did not say, "Do me a favor, investigate Biden." But all of the networks are putting it that way. Do me a favor, investigate. I mean, it's not even true. Read the transcript.
The favor, look back at the election meddling of 2016.
Right.
That's the favor. Look back at the election meddling by the Democrats.
And how was Ukraine involved? Remember all the international informants we had all over the place? There was a Ukrainian component of the framing of Donald Trump. So he says, do me a favor, look into the corruption and the meddling of 2016. Not do me a favor, investigate Hunter Biden. I just wish there was be accurate.
Be accurate is important, and I guess the president didn't get the memo that you can't look into corruption when it involves a Democrat candidate running for president. But that having been said, there was no finite. He didn't say if you don't find this, you're going to lose the military aid. If you don't, if you don't produce these results or any of that stuff. He had a normal conversation that I think world leaders would have. And I would also say this, folks, this is very perilous and groundbreaking territory where now world leaders are going to be reluctant to talk candidly with the president of the United States for fear that those conversations are going to be out in the public. And I would just say this, if we would have had this proviso during the last administration when President Obama told Medvedev that he would have more flexibility after the election, we wouldn't want to know those conversations about unilateral disarmament for America. And indeed, we might go back and look at those now. But all that is now changing the landscape about how world leaders will deal with the president of the United States, and I think it's an awful precedent.
Right, it's a double standard. It's a double standard when it comes to Donald Trump in this Congress and in this media. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Great to see you. Good morning.
Congressman Scott Perry.